Welcome to this week's episode of the Weekly Wedding Chats with the Sixpence, setting your budget. This series is where we sit down together over a cup of coffee and talk all things wedding, from advice to inspiration to ideas. It's set up in a way that starts as soon as you say yes, through to when you say I do, and the party after. Wedding plan can feel stressful and chaotic, but it doesn't have to be. So come on, sit down, grab your treat, and let's talk all things weddings. This week is one of the most touchy subjects, I think, when we talk about weddings, and it's setting the budget. This is a very nuanced topic because generally speaking, your wedding can be as expensive or as cheap as you want to make it. But what I do want is to come alongside you and just give you some numbers, some percentages, and just what to look for to set yourself up for success that honors what your priorities are. Budgets for weddings can be all over the spectrum. The budget for your wedding today will be different than your parents' budget in the 1980s. It will be different from a budget in Indiana versus a budget in California. And even within that, the season that you're getting married in also drastically affects your budget. So let's get into it. What does the average wedding cost in 2025? What percentage of couples go over their budget? How much should I be allocating towards one specific area of my wedding planning? My goal for you today is to help provide just a little bit of guidance so that when you start planning your wedding, you are not shocked by the number looking back at you. A lot of the things that we see on social media are really helpful for planning, but there's not a dollar sign attached to what you're saving on Pinterest. Some of those floral designs cost $5,000 to $10,000. Just as you start planning your wedding, I want you to have some numbers in your head. In a study done by Zola, the wedding site, 74% of couples go over their budget, and 20% of them overspend by $10,000. I don't say this to scare you, but I say it to let you know, if you are in the middle of wedding planning and you found yourself in this category, it is normal. It is so normal. You probably haven't done this before, and you're probably going to do it different than your friend or your sister or your coworker, and that's okay. As we start to talk numbers, they're gonna feel big. Don't panic. As the knot puts it, the only thing you really need to buy is your marriage license. Everything else, that's up to you, your style, and your preference. So let's talk specifically about average wedding budgets in Indiana, just because that is where the Sixpence is located, and that's where our expertise lies. The Knot 2024 study says that the average cost of a wedding in Indiana is $36,000. From our experience at the Sixpence and the vendors that we see come through our doors, that number is low. You could easily be spending $50,000 all up on venue, caterer, drinks, favors, wedding planner, florals, and the list goes on and on. That's a really big number. 36 is on the lower end, and it could go way higher. So what affects this overall number? I'm gonna pop up a little page here. This is a breakdown of where your money should be going. It's a very generalized page, but it's just a pie chart that kind of helps us step into and start to break down, okay, what percentage of my budget that I set should be going towards the venue? What percentage should be going towards catering? What about my wedding dress and wedding rings? How much money do I need to be saving or setting aside? I think that this is a really great reference point to start from. 51% of your budget should be allocated towards your venue and your catering, cake, and drinks. That is the biggest chunk of your budget. Closely followed by that, then come your creative services. So those are your florals, your videography, and photography. From there, a lot of the other things can have some wiggle room. My biggest advice for you, as you start to set your budget and you identify percentages in these pie charts, is what are your priorities? What is most important to you about your wedding day? Are having really great pictures of your wedding day really important to you? Then you can allocate a little more of your budget to your photographer and videographer, and maybe cut back a little bit on, okay, maybe we don't have a plated catering meal and you have a buffet style instead. Beauty of setting your budget for your wedding and planning your wedding is you can allocate certain funds from one area to the other. A good wedding vendor will work with you to help honor your budget. budget if it's within reason. So what impacts your budget the most? We talked about venue, we talked about catering and drinks, that 50-ish% of your budget. But the thing that impacts your budget the most across the board is your guest count. According to the Knot, each guest costs around $284, very specific number, $284 per guest. Okay, so you have to think about the fact that you are throwing the largest party you will ever throw. According to Zola, each guest increases the cost of your wedding by $150 to $300 per guest. Why? Let me break this down for you. Catering and bar service are direct per person costs that scale exactly with headcount. And then you add in the addition rentals, linens, tablescapes, and then you add in the invitation quantities. So those are your save the dates, wedding invitations, and your thank yous. Each person you invite to your wedding directly increases the cost of your wedding. And I'm not saying that to say don't invite the people that you love, but maybe your cousin's cousins plus one doesn't need to be there. What are numbers that we're looking at for vendors? Again, this isn't a cop-out answer, but these numbers can be all over the board. Photographers that we've worked with locally in Indiana, some of them start at $6,000, and their packages can increase from there. Videographers can start from $4,000 and go up from there. You can find budget-friendly videographers and photographers. The question is, what is the priority for you? At the Sixpence, we have a preferred vendor list of vendors that we've worked with in each of these sectors that we trust. There is a wedding vendor out there that fits your budget and your needs and your priorities. With that said, you just need to be careful that if you're looking for budget, that you're not sacrificing the service. One of the key things that can set you up for success after you set your budget, the first thing you should do after is hire a wedding planner. We'll dive into this more next week about what a wedding planner does versus a day of coordinator, which more aligns with what you want. The perks of having a wedding planner are the following. They know the wedding industry best. There is so much to understand, and it can be overwhelming when you're planning your wedding and you're looking at all these different vendors. How do you start to pick? You tour all these venues. What if they don't have your date? Wedding industry professionals know the wedding industry. So your wedding planner will know who to steer you away from, who is more within your budget, who delivers excellent service within your budget. They also can utilize their relationships within the wedding industry for you. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Tune in next time. We'll dive into it more. Where can I save money? That's the question I think we all ask. When I was planning my wedding, we set a number. That was not enough. I just remember being like, I have no idea what the number should be. I wish I would have known a little bit about allocation of budget and how much it should be in each of these areas. So, all that being said, if you are looking to save a bit of money, when you go on your venue tour, you can ask questions such as, is it cheaper to get married in the off season? Do you guys do Thursday or weekday weddings? Have there been any recent cancellations where there's a spot that's open? When you are touring your venue, think about asking the questions such as, are the chairs and tables included? Some venues do not include tables and chairs, and that is an additional cost after the fact that might catch you off guard. Some other things are the staff included in the price? Is there a cost for outdoor seating? What does the bar setup look like? Is there a minimum spend on the bar? Pricing is dynamic with wedding venues. It depends on the season, the day of the week, and peak time. A July Saturday is typically more expensive than a February Thursday. All these things are helpful to keep hidden costs from coming up. For catering, there are a variety of different options for food service. Your decision on catering and choice of meal style impacts both the atmosphere and the cost of your wedding. You can do buffet style, which is more budget friendly than a plated dinner. But if having all of your people stay seated at your wedding is more aligned with how you envisioned your wedding and them being served table service, then again, that is where your money should go and you can pull from some other areas. As a generalization, catering can cost anywhere from $50 to $150 per person. Again, if we are referencing back that guest number that directly impacts your wedding cost, for a 100-person wedding, your catering could be $15,000. That's a lot of money. The bar is also one of those areas that you can work with. There are a variety of bar options at the Sixpence that we offer, and you can ask about other venues. You can do an entirely open bar where everyone drinks on your dime. A limited bar where you are happy to pay for $3,000 to $4,000, and then after that it's a cash bar. An open bar with the limited option of what you offer. And so to keep costs low, you can offer beer and wine. The other option is a per person head count. That way you know exactly how much you're gonna owe on the bar at the end of the night. And what that looks like is you pay a specific premium for each person coming to your wedding. No matter how much they drink, the cost is the same. We've seen couples shift to this a bit more, and it allows them the peace of mind to know at the end of the night, they know what that bill is going to be. It also provides peace of mind during the day. So we've talked about that big pie chart, right? Of all the big things when you think about planning your wedding. But I also want to bring to mind some hidden costs that you might not have thought through. 1, vendor meals. Expectation is to provide meals for your vendors. These professionals, yes, you're paying them for their services, but they are working, some of them 14-hour days, to bring your wedding to life and to support your wedding. They just can't do that without food or drink. Beauty appointments leading up to your wedding. The night before, hotel room, transportation, bachelorette party expenses, marriage license, and gratuities for your vendors. So one of our biggest wedding tips that we say again and again is keep 10 to 15% of your budget set aside and call that your hidden costs. That way, as it gets closer to your day of and things pop up that you didn't think of, you can pull from that you've already set aside versus feeling like you're going that much more over your budget or that you're going over your budget. Looking to be an inspiration on all sorts of levels, but we've written a blog that dives more into all of these ideas of wedding planning costs, maybe some tips and tricks for saving money. I'll link it below. You can go check it out. It might be a little bit outdated with the costs and such, but it's still a great reference point if you're looking to get creative with saving costs, if you want to DIY a few things as well. It just provides a little bit more information as you work to set your budget. So listen, if you've taken nothing away from this except this following point, I will have done my job. And as generalized as it sounds, you have probably never done this before. And this is probably the most stressful part of wedding planning. Your budget is directly influenced by your style and your size. But what I want you to do is to identify, after you set your budget, identify what your priorities are. What is most important to you and your fiance about your wedding day? Because yes, it's a big party. Yes, all your favorite people are going to be there. But this is your day that you are planning, and it's meant to be a beautiful thing. But if you sit down and you honor the priorities that you've set, and you work to move money around, pull from a different area of that pie chart because something else is important to you, then that's fine. You're not doing it wrong. 74% of people go over their budget. It's okay. I also didn't say what coffee I had. So I am drinking, almost gone, the Nespresso, please hold, the Barista Creations. It's a limited time pumpkin spice cake flavor, and I love pumpkin, with 1 sugar and oat milk. Thanks for hanging out with us for our episode 3 of the Weekly Wedding Chats with the Sixpence. If this was helpful for you, hit the like, hit subscribe. Each week, we'll sit down over a cup of coffee and talk all things wedding. Next week, we're jumping right into the next step after you set your budget, hiring your wedding planner. See you next time, and remember, XOXO, love you. Bye. Today's episode is sponsored by Jonathan Bird's Catering, one of our preferred caterers here at the Sixpence. With 30 years of experience and a reputation for elevated, seamless service, they deliver unforgettable wedding dining, including a Sixpence exclusive menu designed just for our couples.